Hello, peoples. It's time. We're back again, semi-live. Um, we're doing tonight's show is on. We're gonna, since we've kind of burnt out the whole compare and contrast for a while. We've gone back to our clan theme. So and using the old World of Darkness stuff. So followers is set tonight, folks. Also, before we get started, I wanted to let y'all know, for the folks that may or may not be catching up with this later, there will be a log of the live chat, and with the archive video, so we won't have a problem, from now on with them only seeing half of or hearing half the conversation. So, Jason, Barber, say hi, man.
Hi there.
And, of course, my wonderful co-host, Brother Jake.
I am here as well.
All right. Jake and I are very fond of this particular clan. I'm hoping Jason is willing to take a diametrically opposed position to this, so it makes it more interesting. But, and as you folks know, Brother Jake, it's you, man.
Yeah, I had something in mind about an hour ago that I was going to say to start things off, and then I
forgot.
Babbling now reminded me. I just wanted to take a moment to embarrass Jason because of the fact that it was very, very recently. I believe yesterday was his birthday. So
that's right.
Everyone can wish our guest a happy birthday.
Absolutely, happy birthday.
It's been 2 days since I turned 32.
Oh, okay. So,
and I'm already sick of it.
Yeah, well, it's not really a memorable number, 32. Really.
No.
Chances are you'll never remember this particular bad.
Well, it was the year that 32 was the age that Bruce Lee died, so it kind of stuck out in my head in that regard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't stand out quite so much as the age of 27, though.
That's the club, man, you don't want to be a member of.
No. I was glad to see that particular age, that particular year
go by without incident.
Yep.
Are you getting close to lapping that, Peter, the second time around, or
not even close, dude? That's still another 13 years, something like that. Yeah. Before I'll double that. So, and of course, saying hi to the folks in the channel that are already with us. Sabrina, hi. Scott, hi. So, by the way, we're going to try and fill as much of this 2 hours on this particular clan. So we'll see how this turns out. Hopefully, some folks in the channel will actually have some.
If Masquerade gets here, then that should be good because she's a huge fan of the followers of Set as well.
Is she?
We put a lot of responsibility on Jason being the only guest tonight, so. But
pressure.
No pressure at all.
It's post-Cainitis, man, and I know what happened.
Yeah, because we had the big LARP convention this previous weekend here in Canada, so I knew quite a few people that had gone there, and they're all trying to recover and whatnot. Because that happens, when you have a big weekend party and whatnot. So, Jessica's been posting. I've seen surveys, getting people's feedback and everything, which is good to see.
Jessica
for conventions. Jessica Birch that's been with us.
Yes, I saw that.
Because not every convention will try to get feedback from everybody who's attended. I think that goes a long way for finding ways to improve and grow over time and see what people liked and what people didn't like and what could be done differently. So hats off to them to being pretty on the ball for getting that kind of feedback while everything's fresh in everybody's minds.
Huzzah and shit. Yeah, because if they're still hungover, that's quiet. Taking a survey, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And they actually had a contest for tickets to the night in question.
Saw that too.
The Bat one that's coming up this fall. So that's pretty interesting. Of course, just another reason for me to be bummed out at not making it there. But whatever.
Someday,
I'll get over it.
Maybe next year in Jerusalem, like they say.
Because then I could have played a Setite, and then I would have had all sorts of stuff to share with.
Got the bald head. You could do that.
Yeah.
So you're saying all Setites are bald?
Well,
is that
I've seen a lot of predominant.
What he's saying is that all Setites look like Anton LaVey, which
kind of, yeah,
more than a passing resemblance.
Yeah,
to.
Just slick bastards,
I guess that there is some resemblance there to my style. And that is the stereotype Setite. But that is actually one of the things, too, though, with the clan is it's really easy for people to just jump at stereotype on how to portray them. Before we get into how to
follow,
before we can. Oh, there's lots.
No, I know there are, but there are very few females I've seen willing to play a follow set.
Actually, in my LARP, it's almost a 50-50 split, male and female for the Setite clan. And no, actually, it is 50-50 split. But before we get into ways on how to avoid, what are Jason? I know you've ST'd and you've played in several games, and I played a Setite in your Montreal game. But what are some of the really bad stereotypes that you've seen people try to pull off with this clan instead of trying to put any kind of depth to them?
Drug dealers.
That seems to be the very common
pretty much
go-to, right?
Regardless of whether it's an independent, the canon or normal, independent followers of Set, or whether it's a Serpents of the Light, or even some of the more esoteric bloodlines. Typically, the stereotypical character for someone of that particular bloodline would be a drug dealer. Not to say that every Setite drug dealer character that I've seen has been bad. I mean, I have very fond memories of a German friend of mine who I haven't spoken to in very many years, who played a Setite drug dealer character, and I was very happy to play with him. But yeah, for the most part, falling back on the archetype of the drug dealer who just so happened to have been embraced by a member of the followers of Set. It's, unless you can pull off something really, really interesting with it, where it's very boring to see a dime dealer from the hood who also can see in the dark or has snake eyes or what have you. It gets very boring after a while.
And depending on
use of the letter S.
Yes, very sibilant speaking. That's like cute. Maybe the first time. Yeah. Or if you're playing a Setite who's doing it on purpose just to fuck with people.
Yeah.
If they're self-aware of the fact that they're doing it and they're doing it on purpose just to mess with people, that I can handle.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very but also like to Jason's, the guy, the drug dealer from the poor part of town or whatever, that can get to become very offensive portrayals too, because you're starting with a really cheesy stereotype, and then you're just kind of adding more stereotypes on top of it, and it just
just going back to that whole hissing every time you pronounce the letter S. There's only so many times that you can do that before someone's going to start to think that somewhere steam is escaping. Yeah. Or they start to think or either that, or they start to think that your character might be a little bit camp.
Yeah, it's hard to take somebody seriously that way.
It is.
Yeah,
a very camp setite. Now that's a concept that is probably going to get stolen now that I've mentioned it.
Yeah. Well, and like
I would
all
like to see it,
concepts,
though. I would
there's a
definitely
way
like to see that.
to do like a good version of that. But again, it'd be like the once in a while, not the, you've got 10 setites and 6 of them are hissing every time they talk is just kind of a little bizarre.
Yeah, it feels like you've gone into
really
it feels like it feels like you're going down Castro Street or something like that in San Francisco.
For certainty. What about you, Peter? What's your experience seeing the clan portrayed? Way back.
I've seen them. They make a really good dealer of antiquities, like running a curiosity shop, kind of like Needful Things, but with a bit darker, and not just selling. How should I put this? Antiquities. They also sell favors. And they will always come back. Doesn't matter how long it takes. They will come back and get your favor. Usually. And it may not even be the original setite that you gave the favor to. So yeah, they tend to keep the clan thing, and keep, at least the good ones I've seen have done some really good. Like I said, shopkeepers. They do some interesting stuff and not selling drugs. But I guess maybe a salesman is kind of in their toolbox, isn't it?
Oh God, like a used car salesman or an insurance salesman. Get them.
That's my next character concept.
Yeah.
Said a used car salesman. That'd be awesome.
Herb Tarlick, the setite. My God, he actually would fit the type too, because between the always chasing after his lustfulness and whatnot, and being skeezy.
I've got an even worse one. An ambulance chaser setite.
Oh, nice.
There you go.
1-800.
The type of person that could defend an innocent man all the way to death row.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right? Devil's advocate. Acquittal after acquittal after acquittal.
Yes.
Uses the defense routinely.
With the setites then, what we have is, unlike a lot of the other, I mean, I know they're not one of the original 7. They were one of the ones that got tagged on later and then kind of added on to as the additions came through. But within the terms of the game, they're one of the clans that actually has a more cohesive history.
Yeah.
Because they got a lot more actual active old fuckers than most of the other clans, and they've got like actual records, and their founders only been gone for like 2 centuries. I mean 2 millennia, 2,000 years.
And
so
long.
It's not long in when you're immortal. So it's interesting, I find, that with that level of I guess in-story cohesiveness, that with all the hints that the official story might not be true, that there doesn't seem to be a lot built on the idea that the setites could they could potentially have actual proof to contradict like the Book of Nod or any other kind of assumptions that some of the other sects have. I found it really interesting that just kind of got left alone, and nobody really seemed to turn to that.
Okay. So I'm trying to read ahead here a little ways. I've gotten to the Dark Ages here. They apparently were super rare in medieval Europe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were, as I recall, they were centered mostly around the Levant.
Yes.
I mean, they did have like some. I mean, obviously, they had some bloodlines which went out to Latin America somehow. But they mostly centered themselves just around the Middle East.
There's a couple in Wolves of the Sea too.
Oh yeah, they did, didn't they?
That made it as far as Scandinavia and Denmark, and whatnot to be with the Vikings, and of course linking it with the world serpent myths and stuff like that. But the interesting thing that, the focus with serpents seems to even in their dictation in their culture seems to be a recent phenomena in the clan. It actually references a couple of times that the Hierophants don't really care about snakes and kind of roll their eyes when they deal with the younger ones that seem all obsessed with serpents and everything.
I mean, come on,
well,
your clan discipline's Serpentis. I mean, you're not really too far outside the box there to think snakes have something to it.
That's the other thing, though, is so what do the disciplines of the Hierophants like? Like, do they have more of a crocodile focus than snake? Do they have, or is Serpentis itself just like a recent addition, an evolution of their culture?
Huh.
Again, potential things to throw the clan on its side if you were trying to introduce them or play with them.
I'm trying to remember what Set is. Yeah, I mean, like Horus is an ibex. No, that's Thoth. Horus is an eagle. I'm not sure what the standard symbol for that clan. It's just kind of got a big nose, and I'm not exactly sure what Set is. He's definitely not a snake.
No, he's associated with crocodiles, and he is also, I believe it is. Let me just check here. Because I think it was a hippo or something. Let me just. There we go. Yeah, Set animal is a composite of aardvark, jackal, and donkey.
Okay,
that's
then.
Awesome.
None of those are a snake.
Yeah, it's definitely not serpent-like, though. It's the fact that he is deals with the serpent of chaos, Apep, which is where there's some serpentine links there.
Mm-hmm.
And Mott. And of course, you got Horus that he also has issues with. And we're not even sure if Horus actually existed.
Well, we covered that last episode when we were dealing with all the mummies.
With the mummies, yeah.
Well, it just seems natural that if we were going to go back to vampire, that Setite would be the next one for us to discuss.
Yeah, that is a good point. But yeah, and that would be the only ones that I would know for fact. It's the only clan that I know for sure knows about mummies.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Because they will have come across a few. Especially if they're from where they say they're from. The whole Northern Africa, Levantine, West, what is that? That's, Eastern Mediterranean. So, Jason.
Mm-hmm.
So, are you awake, dude?
Yes, I am. I'm just letting you guys talk.
Oh, okay. So, okay, moving on to the Dark Ages. Seems like, yeah, that's where we had sort of transitioned to. They were relatively rare.
Well, and they were a low clan in the Dark Ages way of having their high clan, low clan division. So, seen in a lot of ways as foreigners or untrustworthy. They were they did not have as much standing in Canaanite society. You know, they were treated like the Nosferatu and the Malkavians and them dirty Tremere. They were all kind of clumped together and looked down upon by all the others.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out that most of those are some of the stronger of the clans, too. Because I wouldn't go toe-to-toe with the temple, even with a full chantry at my back. Those guys are sketchy, man. In general.
Well, I'm not going to lie. I suppose we're comparing apples to oranges in this regard. I mean, yeah, the Tremere are all shifty and, calculating and, well, there's that thaumaturgy, but the Setites do have their own version of thaumaturgy, but I'm not going to say it's not as refined, but it's more hyper specialized. I think is probably the best way to describe it.
Elaborate.
Yes. Well, Setite sorcery. It's a little bit more. Hang on, I'll actually get up some of the material that I was just looking up earlier today. Setite sorcery obviously is not as widely utilized in the clan. It's something that's only practiced by a small minority of sorcerers. The majority of the... Hang on, actually. What the bloody hell is it? I can't seem to find out where the fucking hell it is. Sorry about that. But screw it, I'll just think. Yes, Setite sorcery does tend... You do have some of the paths which are similar to the ones which are used in like mainstream thaumaturgy, like Path of Blood, Movement of the Mind, etc. But there is like one or two particular paths which are unique to the Setites as a whole. As I recall, and I'm just looking online to find this stuff, there was a particular path which was centered a little bit around corruption.
Yeah, it would be, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, that's their thing, really. Even though their sense of corruption is a little bit more different. Okay, I found it. There's actually 4 types of their sorceries. All of them are like practiced by certain bloodlines. The main clan practices one called Anko. It's one which is more... The terminology it uses is probably more familiar to you guys because you've read at the mummy stuff.
Yeah.
You have stuff, like I said, they do have stuff like the Path of Blood, Movement of the Mind, but the ones that they do have, which are unique to them, are one called the Divine Hand, which means you can remotely damage or repair an object, or you can apply, in the highest cases, you can apply a discipline to, or another magical power to creatures or objects at a distance. Another one is Eminence of Set, which basically means that you can remotely communicate with your children or ghouls.
Oh.
It's more, and a lot of other handful of powers which like are centered around corruption or curses and things like that. There's Path of Duat, which is kind of a corruptive, and a lot of these particular paths are centered around corruption. And Right, you can always like most of this stuff you can find in supplements like Blood Sacrifice, the Thaumaturgy Companion, or Libellus Sanguinus. There's even one in like Cairo by Night, but yeah, I don't think most of this stuff was updated into the W20. But anyway, the second branch of sorcery is one that's practiced by their Latin American bloodline. I think they're called like the Telkek. Yeah, the mechanics are again similar to mainstream paths, but because, as I said, it's similar to thaumaturgy, but it has a basis on Aztec religion, and so anyone who uses like these rituals, but they don't believe in Aztec religion, it makes it a lot more difficult for them to use and with a greater chance of botching. One of the paths that they have is called the Lash of Zyptoltec, which is one of the Aztec death gods. Basically, it means that you can either take on the wound penalties of another, or ignore the wound penalties, or force them on another person, or even cause damage to someone else within eyesight.
Wow, handing off your damage to somebody else doesn't sound nice at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and after that, there's another one is the sadhana, which is a more of a Hindu form of blood sorcery. It's actually practiced by the Brahmin Cainites of India. Again, somewhat similar, but all their stuff is which you can find in Blood Sacrifice, and also the Followers of Set revised book. All of it is like centered again around corruption, but it's more about nightmares and creating poisons. And the last one, which is practiced by the Caribbean bloodline, the Serpents of the Light, is called Wangak. Kind of like, it has a very voodoo style theme to it. And yeah, it's a lot of their particular blood magics in this is like, they're like, again, focused around curses and animal, kind of a limited version of shape-shifting, but not so much like protean or vicissitude or anything like that. It's more centered around, stereotypical voodoo practices in a lot of ways.
Oh, okay. Like in The Making of Zombies, or
Yeah, kind of like that. I mean, they do use necromancy in a lot of ways, but
yeah, but there's a bunch of different ways to practice necromancy.
mm-hmm.
Apparently.
Yeah, there is like Buddha necromancy and Western necromancy.
Now I'm looking here we're moving on to the steampunk era, Victorian age.
Steampunk era.
And it looks like, unlike the previous period of time, the Sedites were actually sought out, especially by some princes, for, the information, slave trade, opium trade, apparently, and corrupting mortals. Apparently that's difficult, I guess. I think if you leave them alone long enough, they'll corrupt themselves. So,
well, and with them having access, or more immediate access, to Alexandria when it fell, there's also probably a lot of Sedites that have lore and information that literally can't be found anywhere else, which would also, if we're still talking Dark Ages, but even in modern times, would give them quite the edge, even if they don't know as much as they are thought to know. They are pretty slippery customers. They can play on your assumptions more than anything, and can make a good deal out of what you assume that they might know or might be able to get a hold of. I don't have of that, but I know a guy who's got a
But
copy.
I know
of
a guy.
Yeah, right? Bobby, I know a guy. And then it's all like, okay, so if you do this for me, I will go and try to see if I can broker this deal for you and, kind of get you in compromising situations that way.
And then you'll owe me a favor.
And then you'll owe me a favor.
It's never, ever,
I'll
ever
do this for
in the
you.
history of language has that ever been a good thing.
Wow. It makes you wonder how much they milked out of the Camarilla for their help in taking New York City.
Yes.
You read through how it was done, and they talk about Setites given all this free blood that was irradiated to the Sabbats so that they could use Geiger counters to find where the pack havens were and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh man, there's some high up Camarilla people that are going to be deep in Set's pocket for that.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. So, okay, now we're familiar basically with Set. Now let's discuss Typhon for a minute, since I mentioned him earlier. The Hydra. Now, do you think it's actually a god, or is it a demon maybe, or it's not? It can't be a vampire.
Typhon could also just be another name for Set.
Like another aspect, or like another mask. That's one thing that we'd have to forget. We can't forget about the Setites, especially like the elders. They're a lot more shiftier to their neonates than the Camarilla or the Sabbat elders are to their own.
Yeah.
So who's to say that Set himself didn't create these different aspects, these different identities to shield himself, to confuse his descendants or manipulate them into doing what he wanted them to do?
Maybe knowing that eventually somebody's going to come trying to kill him in his sleep, like so many do.
Yeah.
Diablerie seems to be fairly common if you go back far enough.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and if you take a look at how the clan itself, as it spread around the world, adapted local mythologies to suit their clan needs. So you've got like the Tlasik in South America, you've got the Brahmin in the Indian subcontinent, and they all have local mythologies, local religions that they have shoehorned Set into to get followers and to kind of relate to the local people. So Set or Typhon or whatever, those are also possibly just names that got adapted originally when the clan got founded and aren't even necessarily his true name. So I mean, there's all sorts of fun things that you can do with that in the backstory of a chronicle, depending on how much focus you want to put on Set. I like to, and I've pointed this out a couple of times on forums and stuff, but I'm like, followers of Set, very, very, very close to being a Bali bloodline. How do we know the Nameless isn't also Set? Because Setites have Obfuscate, Presence, and Serpentis. Bali have Obfuscate, Presence, and Daimoinen. The Bali clan weakness is you are more susceptible to holy symbols and faith. Well, in the religion that Set belongs to, what's the holy symbol? The sun. What's the Setites' weakness?
Sunlight.
The sun.
They take double damage from sunlight.
And they take dice pool penalties when they are in bright light.
Yeah.
Bright light. So their weakness is basically a very highly specialized version of the Bali weakness. And there's some similarities between Serpentis and Daimoinen, and there's some similarities between Serpentis and Protean. And so they're,
Yeah, it's there. I can definitely see the connection. Though
there could be a connection there, and whether there is officially or not, but it's still enough to kind of give pause and so if you want to talk about who's Typhon or who's Set, well, Trick, who knows? Like, could be Salu for all we know. Like, I mean,
I guess that brother's good at hide and seek too.
Yeah, and he likes making clans.
Yeah, apparently.
that is also true.
He's
I will say this though. I think that the only objection that I have to that theory is when you actually look at the Setites' religion, you realize that they don't worship demons. They don't even worship a demon in Set. He is a dark god. He's the only comparison that I could make of it is probably like maybe like a Gnostic. Yeah, you guys are familiar with Gnosticism, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The world is divided into two aspects. You have the physical aspect, which is of the devil, of the demiurge, and you have the spiritual aspect, which is of God. In the Setites' mind, the demiurge is Set. They're not worshipping a devil or a demon. They're worshipping their dark god, the dark reflection of God in their eyes. With the Bali, what they're worshipping is probably the equivalent to elder gods, demonic creatures, which are as eldritch as their dark god is, but depending on your perspective, they don't have any interest in either turning the world into something that's more compatible with them, but they're more interested in destroying the world, which is not what Set wants. And that's not what the followers of Set are trying to achieve. They're trying to make the world more corrupt.
They're trying to free the world.
Yeah, they're trying to
free the world.
Free the world, not destroy it. Fucking
yeah. Why do you want to save the world? Because I'm one of the assholes that lives in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at we've not. There's all right. There were some separate cults going on here. Like we've mentioned a couple of them. The ones you were thinking about earlier, Jason, is the Children of Damballa.
Yeah, that's the one.
And then we've got the cult of Tawet. Let's see, Children of Judas. That one sounds fun.
Yeah, they were. What were they based out of Constantinople?
Yes. Which is not Istanbul. People listening. I'll be dead.
They were like shunned. They were like the rest of the Setites didn't even know how to deal with them because they didn't understand the idea of heresy before that, because they had a little bit of some flexibility on how people worshipped, and then the Children of Judas showed up and they're like, you guys are way out of line. What are we supposed to do with that? We understand rebellion, but you're taking rebellion too far.
Yeah, they'd never met an inquisitor before.
I have respect for the guys on the other side.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
Nobody. So, all right. Where are we at on our timing here? Hold up. Let me look.
We're about 40 minutes in, I think.
Are we? All right.
We haven't even got on to modern day yet.
No, not even. We're not even there yet.
Sorry, Into the Wilderness. We missed. I see you deleted your question. We totally missed the question.
Yeah,
they joined the feed, but then they thought we were talking about Sabbat, not just followers of Set. So then they deleted their question. So
now we can talk about the Serpents of the Light,
yes,
as well as the
Tlalach.
Yes.
and the Walid, and the warriors of Glycon, which sounds like somebody who uses chemical weapons. I'm just...
No, Warriors of Glycon sounds like some sort of like gluten-free,
Witches of
gluten-free
Echidna.
militia. You know,
Yeah, we
that's
wouldn't
going to
want...
be one defending a commune in California.
Yes. All right, let's discuss the Serpents of Light, or the anti-tribu version of these guys. I don't know how you can be an anti-tribu Setite, but go ahead.
Well, think of it this way. So Setites worship their antediluvian as a god. The Sabbat wants to destroy all antediluvians. So, yeah, that probably suits them more than some other clans, because other clans don't even, the main part don't even believe the antediluvian exists. The Serpents of the Light, they're the ones that are like, dude, these motherfuckers are crazy because they want to wake theirs up.
Yeah, right. It's like, why are they poking him? Stop poking him.
Yes.
So,
As I recall, according to canon law, the Serpents of the Light started when a small group of Setites. I think they were in the Caribbean, I believe, Haiti.
Yes.
Yeah, they approached the Sabbat and they offered their services. Effectively by saying, exactly as you said. Yes, we belong to a clan which wants to resurrect our antediluvian, but we don't fancy the idea of, the dark god of our clan waking up and devouring the world. So can we join your club and, go about it?
And, make sure it
shit.
doesn't happen?
Yes. And wreck a lot of shit in the process.
Yeah. Well, there is always that.
Yes.
Burning stuff down can be fun, yes. I guess. So what about the warriors of Damballa? Wouldn't these guys be the opposite of the Serpents of Light? Nah, wait a minute. Not the children of Damballa.
I don't know, Jake, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm just so yeah, they're probably the ones that are more involved with the Laban, because they are from the central and southern African continent.
Yeah.
In the Ebony Kingdom, it still refers to them as followers of Set, but they're a lot more spirit-minded in a lot of ways, the same as a lot of the Laban, more aware of the presence of spirits. But some of the Serpents of the Light actually descend from the children of Damballa, and they have commonly they will also have the haunted flaw, because of their connections to the spirit realms. And so they oh wow, this is interesting. I didn't realize they actually have auspex instead of obfuscate. That's an interesting bloodline trait.
Yeah.
They can't hide, but they'll see you.
Yeah. That might be a sign that they probably know the way.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just had to throw that in there.
Yes, of course.
It was an awesome 3 weeks where that meme was king.
So, do you have any questions into? Just saying. Anybody else in the channel? If you got a question, please throw it up. We'd appreciate it. I'm trying to scratch together more stuff to talk about here.
So since we're going from Children of Damballa, I'll return to the Laban for Kindred of the Ebony Kingdom. The Setites there actually have a lot more respect than they get anywhere else. They're not one of the 3 main clans that hold a lot of power, but they're not like shit on, and they're not really given a lot more suspicion. They're just kind of treated as curiosities. Like, oh, okay, yeah, you think that there's a god out in the desert that you want to raise. Okay, well, as long as he doesn't fuck my shit up, whatever, do your thing. So it's kind of a different kind of interaction with other clans than you get elsewhere. Serpents of the Light don't kind of have it pretty decent too in the Sabbat, because again, they're not the ones in power, but they're also not really shit on, and everybody in the Sabbat's an asshole, so they're not even really regarded with any extra suspicion. So it's a good scenario for them to have. They don't have to pretend to be anybody else, like happens frequently in other domains.
Here's an interesting little tidbit. Setites count their generations differently.
Yes, because Set was the first one.
Yes, so there literally can be a third generation Setite.
Yeah, third generation Setite would be a fifth generation by other clans' reckoning.
That's still pretty freaking low, dude.
But still, but then it gets even more complicated, actually, and this is like really interesting stuff that I have fresh in my mind, because I looked it up for my LARP, where Setites are one of the main clans, and so they have their Sothic cycles that once a Setite is alive, or not alive, but dead for one Sothic cycle, which is 1,460 years, they are considered a child of Set himself.
Yes.
So they technically now are considered second generation, which can further confuse family trees. Because then if they embrace anybody after that, so, okay, well, it goes from Set to my sire to me, so I guess I'm third generation. But you might actually be 10th generation or 13th generation. You just have a really old sire.
Exactly. Also, not all of the followers of Set were embraced as Setites.
Yes. There's the other similarity, to go back to my earlier theory. The other similarity with them and the Bali is they can adopt. Some of the game versions have had apostate as a merit that you can take as a Setite, which also exists as a merit for Bali, where, you started as another clan, but then you got adopted into the Setites, and now you can learn Serpentis as a in-clan discipline in addition to your starting 3. And you are considered a Setite for all intents and purposes by everybody else.
But if you embrace anything, buddy, that child still is... Okay, if a Ventru was converted, any children they create is still Ventru, including their clan weaknesses.
Well, that depends.
That's what it says right here.
On Storyteller. Where did you see that?
The wiki, it's at the bottom here. It says, a Ventru converted to Set will still embrace Ventru children and have a particular inclination towards his prey. You're taught Serpentis and or sorcery as paths of as other paths of enlightenment. So yeah, it would work, but oddly enough, that would probably allow them to blend into Camarilla society better.
Yes. They don't
get
they
people
don't
in the courts.
Shed their additional clan or clan curse. Still embrace Ventru Childer. I hadn't seen that in the source that I was reading when I was setting up my game, so I decided to do it differently.
Oh, okay. As long as your storyteller says it's cool.
I actually have some Setite apostates in my LARP, and one of them actually embraced, and so I decided to deal with it like, well, their child is a Setite too now, so has some the old. Just kind of seemed to make better story sense at the time, anyway.
There you go.
But yeah, that embrace is very interesting. And yeah, their Path of Enlightenment, the Path of Typhon Set, they like to teach that because it doesn't matter what clan you are or what species you are, that if you're going to serve Set, all the power to you. Welcome home, brother.
Yeah. Here's the key to the temple. Please lock up when you leave.
Don't worry about taking off your shoes.
Yeah. Actually, a lot of their temples, as I understand it, have sand floors for some weird-ass reason. Some weird-ass Egyptian reason.
Yeah. Might be just an indicator for people just to wear sandals.
Sandals are all the rage in Egypt.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm looking
I'm
at
sure.
some of the some more of these cults. The Sisterhood of Sekhmet seems to have taken our previous conversation just a minute ago and went the other direction with it's a Gehenna cult, and they center on subverting female vampires from the camp. Specifically, for some weird ass reason, they think that Kindred Society is chauvinistic. I don't know that that's true.
Yeah, I think we all know the reason why this has been put in here, and I think it's a really awesome reason.
Okay.
Why you want me to share it?
I thought you were.
It's basically intersectional feminism put into with an undead twist. You know, what's the reason that you're not Prince anymore? It's patriarchy.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not just because you're a dirty brewheart. It's because of the patriarchy.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not. You're not. The reason why you haven't gotten that favor from the Ventru isn't because your sire just so happened to be quite disfavourable by the clan as a whole because of a certain incident that they had. At least a century before. Vampires have long memories. It's because of the patriarchy.
Right. Exactly. I don't think New Wave ever showed up tonight, has she? We're
Not
almost
yet.
halfway in. She might be working.
Yeah.
She says she always goes back and listens to the shows she missed anyway.
So we'll say hi to her anyhow, because
Well,
she'll be here
They all
eventually.
say hi to you.
That's right.
And if the patriarchy is responsible for you not being here, then
Then down with the
fight.
patriarchy.
Down with the patriarchy. Fight the power. Just don't join this particular cult that we're talking about here. That'll ruin everything.
Yes, that would be. They'll lead you astray.
Yes,
Oh, okay. So that's what they're called. The Vikings that you were talking about. It's the Hall of Jormungandr.
Yes.
And apparently they're really big on red hair. So some sort of sign of...
Yeah, apparently Set had red hair.
Yeah, according to the legends, and it's seen as a sign of good luck in Setite culture.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm looking here. I'm trying to catch up here. Hold on. During the Ismaili Revolution in the middle of the 10th century, an establishment of the Fatimid dynasty. What? Okay.
The Fatimid dynasty. I believe that was in an Islamic caliphate that was in Saudi Arabia and a couple of other places. I'd have to double check that to be certain, though.
But apparently they severed their contact with the main clan.
Yeah, it was kind of hard to get mail through the Islamic blockade.
The Silk Road wasn't exactly very. It wasn't a very good place for letters to be sent through.
No?
Good for spices, good for materials, and good for coffee, but not quite good for letters.
Probably was difficult to travel back home to in person.
Yeah.
It looks like after they cut off their contact with the main clan, they were hiding as Toreadors.
Yeah, didn't Arnulf, wasn't he Primogen of one of the cities? And there was another city where the Keeper of Elysium was a Setite disguised as a Toreador.
Oh my goodness! Apparently, they run a nightclub in Oslo now.
Well, there you go. They know how to party.
Apparently, I mean, it's all. I guess it's more of that corruption thing.
Oh, nightclubs aren't corrupt.
Well, some of them are, but not all.
Some of them are. Not
Have
any
you seen
more
the
than
prices
any
for
other
drinks
place.
in those places? What do you mean they're not corrupt?
Well, there's a difference between being corrupt and just being extortionists.
Okay. So, all right, what else we got here? The House of Eclipse. That one sounds fun. Got any info on them before I can get the window open?
Which one?
The House of Eclipse. It's a
Sounds
school of Setite
spooky.
theology centered around Cairo. Apparently, there's something about okay. Yeah, these guys are actually trying to kill Ra, but that's not going to destroy the world. Really?
What? They're trying to destroy the sun, or
Atum Ra, who manifests as the sun. Eclipsean doctrine says their disdain of sunlight to truly conquer the eons. They claim the Sedites must find a way to kill Atum Ra, the sun. So, okay. So you're going to kill off your food supply doing that, just saying. Yeah, vampires might be able to
mushrooms.
survive this, but I don't think humans will.
just feed the humans mushrooms. They'll be fine.
Oh, and apparently their priests are dedicated cultists of Apophis, which is another. There's the snake in the Egyptian mythology, which is kind of, as I understood it, he's one of Anubis's minions, or is it the other way around? Well,
Yeah, when they weigh your heart, if it's heavy with sin, then they toss it and the snake eats it.
No, that's Sekhmet. Well, that's Set. Using the name Sekhmet. Again, we're going back with Typhon again. So it's kind of and they use the feather of Ma'at to weigh your heart. If your heart is heavier than the feather, then you're fucked. Or so we're told. Apparently, this particular cult seems to be particularly taken with the La Sombra and their ability to control shadow. So I'm wondering if you could actually do a Setite with a out of clan discipline and of tenebriation, man, that'd be awesome.
Well, I'm sure that would work.
Yeah, could see that happening. Either that or a Sabbat Serpent of the Light, La Sombra. Either a pack or the top two people of those, and they have a cult that's centered around darkness.
Oh yeah, fun. I love thinking up really novel uses for some of this stuff. I really do. And we do seem to get quite a few folks who have some interesting methods for playing this game over the years. Sometimes it's been done already and it didn't work out, but they tell us that, and vice versa. Sometimes we've come up with some really cool shit on the air.
Yep.
Depending on the subject of the night. Not always are we spot on, batting 1,000 kind of situation. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, Abdal Sobek. That's another name for that crocodile thing that eats your heart. Yeah, see, that cult, it's the Abdal Sobek. They're try to keep, it looks like it's indulgence in their extremes, which means allowing your beast to take over from time to time. That's never a good thing. They have archons that hunt down people who do that. And I don't think the clan could save them, given the right crew sent after something that's going to be 9 times out of 10 frenzying. Those bitches are hard to put down. So, let's see. They revere Sobek as the incarnation of the hunger of the beast, hence the Sutek. Oh my goodness. Sobek, if he exists at all, is rumored by the clan elders to be a Mokoele abomination. A were-crocodile. Really?
Yes, those exist.
Well, I know they exist, but I mean, that's just strange. Because I would think they would have the same problems with kindred as their cousins do. Most of them don't like them at all. They don't smell right or something.
Yeah.
But I find it hard to believe that their grandsire was a Mokole. I just don't see it.
No, I don't see it either.
Or maybe they're just like they do with Set and Typhon, and they just sort of drum up all this weird nonsense just to hide more of what they're doing behind the scenes, etc. Jake, got anything, man? Oh shit, we lost him.
Oh, Jake?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Hello, Jake. Something's up. Now, he's still in the channel. I just don't know where he is. He might have muted his doohickey, and
Yeah, possibly. I could hear his little ones in the background.
she loves hanging out with him while he's on the air.
Yeah, I
That's
remember.
Ollie.
Yeah, when we were doing some games like back when, he had some time, she would always just like come in and say, I'm doing this thing, or, whatever. And it was adorable.
Yes. I'm actually kind of... Sometimes she can be quite cute when she wants to be. And she can be a true little terror when she doesn't. That may be why he's got his mic muted. She might be throwing a fit.
Yeah, he's got the patience of a rock.
He does it. He is a good dad.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
I listen sometimes when he's answering questions, and she seems to have some pretty interesting questions, and she's growing up in a gaming household, so she's learning the right shit.
That's true.
Okay, now I'm getting into the Cult of Typhon itself. I waited for a little while before I pulled this one up. I wanted to get some of the lesser ones out of the way. The Path of Typhon. There's all kinds of Typhon going up in here, huh? Oh, it says it here that it is, like Jake said, chances are Typhon's just another name for Set himself.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently they think Gaia had something to do with his existence, which is strange because that's the first time. I just don't understand how much of werewolf lore can be wrapped up with kindred lore. It's kind of shocking sometimes to me.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I buy that. Mind you, I suppose it really depends what game you're playing.
True. Let's see here. It says, all right. The tales of Typhon Trigesm. I'm not even going to try and pronounce it. Interpret Set as Typhon, the serpent dragon, born from Gaia and Tartarus, to lay siege to Olympus and strike down the gods. So, okay, we're talking 4 different religions here. I got issues.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love anime crossovers, but no, just no, not like this.
Just not going down that road, huh?
I mean, Jesus and Buddha tag teaming to do a double drop kick to the devil would be awesome to see, but no.
I noticed as I was driving down the mountain earlier today, somebody painted they've got a fence on the side of the road as you're headed down the mountain, and it was a Jesus wearing sunglasses and had his thumb out like he was hitchhiking. And I'm like, oh, come on, that took way too much effort. It's not even remotely funny either. Because I'm pretty sure if they were trying to piss off people around here, that's one good way to do it. There's a lot of Christians in this area, and that seems to be the kind of thing they might take offense at.
No, that'd be Muslims who'd be offended if you drew their prophet.
Oh, that's true. They get all bent out of shape about that too, issuing fatwas and all that craziness. Come on, y'all.
Yeah, even going so far as to get, being threatening to, or they get so mad that they explode, literally in some cases. When you do something, like we had this guy who got sentenced to prison for when he was drunk, he dropped a piece of bacon outside of a mosque.
Really?
I'm not even joking. That actually happened.
That's craziness. It
But
wasn't deliberate, was it? No.
I can't remember, but even if it was deliberate, it didn't actually hurt anyone. I mean,
It didn't rise to the level of a criminal offense.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. Jake, you back yet? He's still in the channel, so I know we haven't lost him. Something must have happened. We're just gonna have to hold it together until we get back. If there's anybody listening who's got questions, please help us out here, or we might have to end the show early because we're running low on shit to talk about.
There's some things I could probably talk about when it comes to Setites. Just general advice and my own experiences with them. If you think that would help. At least until we get Brother Jacob back.
Yes. Another one of those wonderful epithets that the Setites tend to refer to each other as brother or sister, since their whole basis is kind of a religion. So you were going to say?
All right. My own experiences with Setite characters. Like I said, the stereotype that I've encountered has always been the drug dealer. Which, like I said, I'm not going to say that it's a bad idea, but it is the stereotype. And if you're going to do the stereotype, at least do it in a way that's actually interesting. Like don't make such and such from the hood who sells crack. Make someone interesting, like Heisenberg or something like that. I don't know. Make someone who's actually interesting to be around, or someone who's interesting to talk to. Another venues that you could go down to. You could go down the whole Tomb Raider thing, like an archaeologist, like a very evil Laura Croft.
Oh, okay. Actually, it would be the German guy from Indiana Jones.
Yep, that would be good as well. Yeah, an evil Indiana Jones.
Yeah, there you go.
Who else? You could have, just a general occultist, perhaps. Like the curio shop. Guy that we mentioned earlier.
That guy actually, granted, true, it wasn't. he wasn't capable of actually doing this, but he always claimed everything he sold had a curse attached to it.
Yes.
Just
So
to fuck with
basically-
people.
Yeah, so basically it's like the guy that remember on that Simpsons episode where you had the guy who like sold that monkey's paw to Homer.
Yes.
Yes.
Also,
And
the Needful Things episode of Rick and Morty. That one
Yeah.
was a good one.
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah, that's the thing. Is you got to come up. It's not as easy as we're making this sound. By the way, sometimes a good character concept might actually take some effort.
Yeah. Like or a social media expert or something like that. Like someone who
Advertising executive.
Yeah, and they're advertising it. Now we're getting
Uh-huh. I can see you said I as an ad exec. Yeah.
Wait, I got another one. A BuzzFeed journal.
Oh,
Journals.
nice.
That's-
Nice.
That's some real fake news there.
Nice. He's actually catching people on video violating the masquerade. Oh my God, that would
a
be
Vice
fun.
reporter. Actually, no, that actually just reminded me of one of Jacob's the Serpent of the Light character that Jacob played when he was in Montreal. Basically, he played as a psychiatrist, and the idea was that he would help cover up for some of the Sabbat's indiscrepancies by explaining, victims' experiences away as being,
Hallucinatory.
hallucinations, drugs, and things like that. And he would plant it on them as well. So that was kind of his thing, which I thought was really good because
Yeah.
that's one of the things about the Sabbat that a lot of people, a lot of inexperienced players, I've noticed, don't really put into or don't take into consideration. The Sabbat don't want humanity to know that they're there.
No, because we still outnumber them.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Other experiences. You could. I've not actually seen this done before, but I've heard of it. I had someone tell me that they had a Setite character. I can't remember if they were a Sabbat one or independent, but they basically had a character that was. I think they said it was a prostitute or a porn star or something like that. One of the two. So there was that aspect of corruption to them, and you could go say that's just pretty much what you'd expect from any vampire for that matter. Toreador. I'm just throwing shade at Toreadors now.
Toreador. I hate him. I do.
They were the first clan that I ever played. So
Really?
Yeah, my first character was a Toreador.
Does this clan ever actually do anything? That's what
Well,
I'm
mine had a shit ton of celerity, so they were pretty much a warrior door.
Oh, so you could do nothing really fast.
Well, I never missed anything. That's the thing. I gave someone the final death just by shooting them in the face with a pistol.
Nice.
I had that many dice, and
Wow.
that good at damage roll.
Yeah, I love good death scenes, man. If you can pull off a really epic one, those are awesome.
It was such a bullshit move as well, but it was awesome.
Hey, you do what you do, man.
Hey, if the dice are in your favor and you think
You do it.
you think it would be awesome, do that fucking thing.
Oh shit!
Anyway.
A limo driver, the
Oh,
one
yeah,
limo
definitely.
driver
A
who knows where to
limousine
get all the
driver.
good shit.
Oh yeah, taxi driver as well if you want to go down.
Yeah, if you want to take it down a notch, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just basically anyone who is likely to either be in contact with people. Setites usually have to be very good social characters. In fact, they are a very social clan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
their stats would be social, mental, then physical.
Yeah, typically, I mean, you can always make exceptions for certain ones. Like if you wanted to have a Setite warrior, you could go with physical first. But you could. if you're going to go down the warrior caste route, you could go down the route of a Latin American mercenary, or depending on your chronicle, you could go down the route of just. I mean, obviously, it depends on the group that you're in, and whether you want to go off alone or not. But for the most part, the Setites are a social clan, so you should focus your concept around that. Anything that has contact with mortals, contact with Canaanites for that matter, kindred even.
Oh yeah.
You want to have something which you can be subtle with. You don't need to be like completely out of your mind, completely batshit crazy with it. You could just have a guy on the other end of the phone, or a guy who listens to your confessions, or a guy who operates an advice column, or like a website, or something like that. I've actually wanted to have a character concept where he has a YouTube channel, like an agony uncle or whatever, or an agony aunt, if you want to go that route. If you want to be more traditional. Yeah.
I would also think that if you do the guy right, a Nosferatu would make a good YouTube guy, as long as you never see his face.
Yeah, you could definitely do that with if this guy was like really good at After Effects and recording and things like that, you could definitely do that.
Exactly. Because then it's not a masquerade violation, as long as you're not talking about shit that you're not supposed to be talking about. But I guess if there's anybody who could talk a Nosferatu into doing something like that, it would be a Setite.
Yeah.
Those guys just are so slick. And they make you think it was your idea to begin with, too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Jake, are you back yet, man? Oh, that's not a good sign.
No, it isn't.
That's not a good sign at all. I hope everything's okay. But we're good.
Man.
Huh?
Yeah, I think we're good. What are the good set? Could. Is there anything else you wanted me to talk about?
Well, have you? I mean, how often have you played a Setite? Actually played one?
Actually played one once before. It wasn't for very long though. I probably will want to do back to that concept again, but I'd want to refine it a lot more.
That could be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I have used some Setite. Well, technically they're a Setite ghoul, but I used them as NPCs in a game once. I say they're a Setite ghoul. They were independent ghoul, but they were like formerly Setite. But they managed to break away from their master due to unpleasantness. Let's just put it that way. By way of their sire getting decapitated.
Take a little off the top.
I say son. I meant their Domitor. Sorry. It's 3:00 in the morning.
I know it's late on your end. I appreciate you coming in at the last minute too. We had a real hard time post Kane to get anybody who could actually jump in at the last minute, and why we do so appreciate you doing that, even as
don't worry about it.
Your differences on the time zones on both sides of the pond.
Mm-hmm.
Jake, are you back? Oh, thought I heard him for a second there. Yeah, something's up. Anyway, I'm looking at the Children of Damballa now. That seems to have a much more detailed description than the you mentioned the Laban earlier, and apparently these guys are closer to them than any of the other cults, I guess, or whatever. Yeah, cult. That's what there are. Yeah, okay. And then it says known cults. So I'm assuming it's possible to do your own if you really wanted the headache of trying to pull it off. Is come up with your own clan or cult.
Yeah, you could definitely do that. You could make your own homebrew cult if you really had the need.
Well, I mean, there are very few of the followers of Set are not well represented in the United States. Excuse me. At least up to the clan war, there were a few like Hesha, but they were kind of low key. I mean, they were the ones who were Hesha was trying to get the Eye of the Antediluvian out of play when the whole clan war kicked off. The one the Antediluvian that I can't say it out loud. The T.
Mm-hmm.
The those guys, the anti-mages. That's a good way to put them. That's the one they now. But
I don't see why you have such a phobia for the Tremere. In all
it's
honesty.
not the Tremere we're talking about here. We're talking about anti-mages. Okay, you've got the 9 orders on one side, and on the other side you have the see. Sabrina, she knows I can't do it. Cannot say the name out loud, or our stream will go to ass in a hurry. Yeah, it's more of a mage thing, by the way. This T group.
Sorry, you got me there for a sec.
Yeah, no, it's a mage group, but we don't say the word, not out loud anymore. It's just every time somebody does, something happens to the feed. It's really weird. I know, you wouldn't think, but it's true.
Yeah, you're not supposed to talk about the technocratic union.
Okay, at least I didn't do it.
No, you didn't.
No, I didn't. So anyway,
you threw it up.
okay, that's the other thing. How often would the followers even have interactions with a lot of the other? Okay, mummies, yes, we've already discussed that. That one got thrown out quick because of the last show being on mummy. I would think some of the mages would know about them. They're familiar with vampires, but some of the low-level mages don't know that there are different kinds of vampires out there. They just know that they're vampires.
Struggling to think of any mage, any traditions that would be familiar with the Setites.
The Cult of Ecstasy, maybe.
Maybe.
Because of the drug thing.
Maybe. Maybe certain dream speakers. Maybe no, maybe not. Maybe some of the of the disparate alliance. Probably the Tafanti or the Ali Batan. And I've completely butchered those names, so I apologize for that.
They've even we know from what I was reading here earlier is they actually have a kind of a truce going on with the werejackals in the Sahara.
Oh yes, the fuck. No, I've just completely forgotten them now. Silent Striders, yeah. That's kind of weird, really, because weren't the Setites the reason why the Silent Striders don't have a homeland?
Maybe. See, that's why we need Jake here, because he is actually a really good repository of that kind of information. But I hold on, let me see what I can come up with here. If I'm going to go to the wiki, let's do this. So, yeah, you said it. We haven't had it crashed yet. So,
It might be because, well, Jake probably, if he was here, he would know about my affiliation with NSA Dave. I mean,
who the hell is NSA Dave?
NSA Dave, he's a recurring character in a lot of my games. Whenever I'm as a storyteller, and the feed starts going, but it used to be this thing where my internet wasn't quite stable, and when we started getting onto some what we'd usually say is questionable stuff, like making bombs and things like that in game, of course.
Yeah.
I have no idea how to do that stuff in real life.
Of course not.
No,
None of us have that kind of time.
Try. No. Who's got that? Who's got the time to make bombs these days? Fucking hell.
I guess if you're sitting in a tent someplace, that's about it.
Yeah. Anyway. Yes, so anytime we would start doing about that, then the feed would start, well, the connection would start staggering, and eventually it got so consistent to the point where I would just start saying, "Oh fuck, it's the NSA," and then we started to say it must have been the same guy at the NSA, so we started calling him NSA Dave. And then it's just become a kind of a recurring occurrence that any time that the internet crashes down, or we start talking about things that we're really not supposed to, and not supposed to notice, or not supposed to otherwise be talking about, we give a shout out to NSA Dave.
All right. I think
the reason why your feed hasn't crashed when I mentioned the Technocratic Union is because NSA Dave is on my side.
Good job.
Speaking of which, NSA Dave, hi. Hope everything's going well for you.
All right, I just caught up with where we were talking prior to that weird little tangent. Yes. I love weird little tangents, by the way. I do love them. Striders allied themselves with the Osiran League to stop the antediluvian Sutek, which is also another name for Set. It says their struggles lasted centuries until Shu Horus managed to wound the great vampire, who in turn spoke out one last terrible curse that severed the tribe from their ancestors' spirits and banished the tribe from the ground of Kem, which would be Egypt. And took 1 year to scatter the silent striders to the four corners of the earth. So yes, apparently there's some bad blood going on between the Setites and the silent striders, but they have some sort of truce for Saharan Africa, though, because the Sahara isn't the land of Kem, that's Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't think Egypt covers no, it doesn't. I had to sit there and think about that before I actually let it come out of my mouth. So I'm not as familiar with my geography as I used to be, but I am familiar with that particular continent. Don't expect me to point out any of the countries and know the names, but I'm pretty sure I could spot the Sahara. Tends to stand out.
You think you can recite them all alphabetically or nothing?
I can do the states, but not.
Yeah, but I want to say.
And welcome back, by the way. What happened, dude?
Yeah, Jake is back. By the way,
I messaged you guys. I said,
yeah, I just noticed it right.
Somebody, yeah, you guys were talking, so I wasn't going to interrupt. But I had a car got stuck in our driveway, slid off the driveway and into snowbank. So I had to go out.
Oh, is it still fucking snowy?
Yeah,
he's from Canada, man.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well,
it's like winter.
It's only the first week of March, dude.
Yeah. Fucking hell.
Well, hell, it was fucking 65 yesterday here.
I don't know what that means.
Okay, you guys don't do real.
Okay. You're forgetting that you're in California.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm in Tennessee.
We're in Canada and England, respectively.
Yeah, and you guys have no idea what Fahrenheit even looks like.
No, we don't. I work in degrees.
So, anywho, glad you got them out.
Yeah,
that was cool. Anyway, we were just discussing some of the crossover issues with the Silent Striders, and their truce that they have going on, at least whatever were nasties are living in the Sahara. They're just nasties. I hate them all.
Just wear nasties. That's all you're gonna.
Were
that's all you
nasties,
got to
man.
say?
Where doggos?
Really? Yeah. Yeah, jackals. Were jackals, I think they are, yeah.
Where doggos?
Awesome.
Delivering great hecking concerns.
I think actually jackals are kind of cool.
Yeah,
Darn you
jackals
straight
are
to
cool.
heck.
Yes, darn you straight to heck.
And I want a fennec. I
Saw
really
the bad
do.
vamp, bit the bad vamp. End of report.
But if Sutek was injured during this mythological exodus that the Silent Striders were put into, what killed him? You think? Because we know. See, that's the thing: is the Sedites aren't. They know that their antediluvian exists. It's just dead. They need to figure out how to bring him back.
No, he's not dead. He's just
Sleeping
resting.
very soundly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Soundly, but yes, he was. In some ways, he was dead, but he got better.
Oh, okay. And one of those issues.
That's their mythology, anyway.
Well, I know. I thought that's what Jake mentioned earlier was the whole we're trying to resurrect our dead god thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello?
Yeah. Oh, that's me. Oh,
No, I was talking to Jake.
I'm muted because I was like coughing a bit.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
My bad. But
That's
weren't
okay.
you the one who was talking about the resurrecting of their dead god? One of their different set by any other name?
Yeah, it is their that is their plan, isn't it? To try to bring him back, but they got to find where he went. He coincidentally went missing on 33 CE, so whether there's supposed to be any significance to that or not is kind of left ambiguous.
Uh-huh. Yeah, because I'm not even going to touch that with the 10-meter cattle prod. That one is not a discussion I really want to dip into. Yes, this guy named Josh Christ. Yeah, he put him down. That's just no thanks. All right, moving on. But what was I seeing at here? One of the prophets of Typhon, the Typhonese variant cult have 3 different. Where is it? They have actually 3 fake subcults. That was where you disappeared, Jake. We were discussing the cult of Typhon.
Ah.
And yes, right here. The actual cult is split into 3 false cults that serve to attract followers. These cults are dedicated to Bacchus, Mars, and Pluto. So they just completely threw out the Egyptian theme and went with the Roman. What happened? And that gives you, and you also that brings about when this cult may have happened. Kind of dates it a little, because the relatively speaking, Set and that particular pantheon go back way far. Go a lot further back than Mars, Pluto, and Bacchus.
Well, yeah, it's like one of the older civilizations.
Mm-hmm. Close enough, I guess, to the cradle of civilization. Somewhere near 333. Oh, never mind. You wouldn't. Um, some of the proto-hominid fossils that they found, there was a family grouping in Africa at Site 333, where the entire family group died simultaneously, and they still don't know why. They just dropped dead, all of them, right there. They're not, there are no weapon marks, no broken bones, none of that fun stuff. So, if the story of creation is, well, we know it's not true because of sites just like that. So when did vampirism happen? At least in this world.
According to the Setites?
According to anybody. Everybody has their own story. Cain, Saulat.
Way back when.
Yeah. But humanity goes back even further. 300,000 years, give or take.
Well, if we're going by scientific things, then yeah, it would. The earliest humans are dated to, well, at least modern humans, proto-humans, should I say? The earliest they've ever been recorded is about 3 million years, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is like this group I was just talking about.
I may be misremembering. But.
No, you're right. Now they go back a little. I mean, we didn't actually start using language and shit until much later on, but we've got artifacts going back at least 30,000 years. We've got fossil records going back 1.5 million, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
So, and oddly enough, it turns out, as of recently, that there may not have been a mass exodus from the cradle of civilization out into the rest of the world, as we
we always thought that we all came out of Africa. Turns out that wasn't the case.
Nope. Apparently that there were proto-hominids all over, all the way as far as Asia.
Yep.
Most of them, that's the group that wound up crossing the land bridge. It looked like that there was no proto-hominids in the Western Hemisphere anyway, until much later, much later, because we took some freezing to get the water to go down enough so that they could island hop and all the other fun stuff that crossing the land bridge. But given these are the cases, if for instance humanity evolved exactly the same way in the world of darkness, how old are vampires then? Are they as old as we are, or older, or younger?
Well, we're talking about a fictional setting.
True, and
we're also basically, well, if we're going purely by vampire, then there's really no way to explain, just how vampires can be 6,000, 8,000, however many thousand years old, when the world is like millions of years old, unless you're willing to acknowledge that there might not what the world knows about science might not necessarily be true, and it might be arguably a antediluvian plot. But if you're going to include all the other game lines in, you could always make the argument that all the other, well, you could make the argument that the certain union, which you've expressed your distaste in me saying,
anybody
may have had a hand in that to promote their own paradigm. So it's really.
And there would be some of the species that would go further back, like the were. You would think they're closer to the animal side of things, so they might actually be older than humans.
Possibly.
Changelings too.
Yeah.
suppose everything centers around humanity at the end of the day, whether it's they're being used as parasites, breeding stock, or whatever.
It's like we're an egocentric species and can't imagine anything being separate from us.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I have pointed out on more than one occasion, certain religious groups can't stand the fact that they are not the most important thing in the fucking universe.
Atheists are even worse, I find. You only need to look at that stuff on the Atheism Plus to understand what I mean.
Oh, no, I'm not an arrogant atheist. I just think the whole thing is just a crock. I'm pretty sure I know enough of the math that is behind the curtain in the universe. And if I'm wrong, then I'm really wrong. So, where are we at? All right, 141. We still got 20 minutes. Come on, people. I know there's only 2 of you left. Maybe 1, if that's Jacob watching.
I am there.
So then we only got 1 left, and I know who it is.
Sabrina. She doesn't have a lot of questions tonight for us.
No, I was actually surprised, and it's going to be interesting.
To be fair, I think we've answered all the questions that probably would be asked, in all honesty.
We have actually covered a lot of different things. That is true.
I've tried to fill 2 hours. So this was one of the clans that I was more concerned about.
Well, it makes it easier when we've got get sidetracked. The 3 of us have been pretty on topic, so without the sidetracks, then that usually eats up like a good 20 minutes, half hour of our night. Usually,
yeah. You're right about that. Okay. All right.
We have discovered the danger of being on track.
So, yeah, we need to come up with another way to fill time.
Might be an idea to plan, maybe.
Well, we've been kind of slack lately, at least I have. I want to make sure that I'd really like to try and get some outlines and, at least, I like to stay 4 shows ahead. But guests of late have been kind of hit or miss. And I need specific people for certain shows.
Yeah, it's been that time of year where it's been a lot of things up in the air and a few odds and ends to try to sort through.
So, yeah, we were right. It's Sabrina. She's still here. So.
Hello, Sabrina.
So,
sorry,
she did 5 miles on the treadmill today.
Cough a heck.
Ugh. Jeremy? She did 5 miles on the treadmill today.
Oh, well done.
Good for her. Yeah, I am super impressed. Shit, I wouldn't even make it a mile before I'd pass the fuck out. And she says hi back, by the way. And that's something else. I'm also. Oh, it was yesterday. My bad. Is that all of this chat is now going to be stuck to this video for the rest of as long as the video's still here. So we're hoping. It was one of the things that I asked. How long ago, Jake? If that
like
would
when
be,
we started.
Yeah, maybe. Because some of the conversation going on in the chat can be right lively. And I love the idea that it'll now be stuck with the video, that it's... I don't know exactly how yet. I'm going to wait until this one processes. I'm going to look at it. I want to see how, if it actually rolls at the messages come in at the same place where they would have come in during the video. You know what I mean?
Well, there is a bit of a time delay too between when we talk and when it actually
30
airs
seconds
on the footage. So
to a minute.
I guess that's not
depending.
too much.
No, yeah. So, but I'm just liking it because like people like New Wave, they have really good questions, and I like keeping so that we don't mind repeating the question for the show. I tend to do it, and Jake does too. We try to announce them as soon as we see them. or as soon as somebody takes a breath, we'll go. All right, we'll start answering questions. So, all right, we are at 15 minutes. I'm not exactly sure what else we can do. Guys, we might drop a little early if that's all right with y'all.
I think we can probably handle it. Like I said, we've been staying on topic, so we don't have the sidetracking. So unless we just babble for 15 minutes on random topics to simulate getting off topic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
we don't. And of course, we didn't get as many questions as we would have gotten, which also tends to fill up some time.
Which is handy. I wish I had seen what that Into the Wilderness was asking about Sabbat, because we could have answered that anyway.
I don't know. You're right. Hold on. Let me see if I can actually unretract it. Nope. I can't.
It is forever lost to the aether.
Yeah, if I delete it or they delete it, I can't see it. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back 2 weeks from tonight. Keep your eyes right here, and we'll see exactly what we're going to do for the next show. Still not sure. So, I want to thank our guest tonight, Jason. It's awesome to have you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me on.
Of course. You volunteered for this.
Yes, I volunteered as tribute.
Yeah. And of course, Brother Jake. Say good night.
Have a good night,
guys.
everyone.
Bye, Sabrina.